Have you ever dreamed of travelling the world full-time, visiting exotic locations, tasting new foods for the very first time and experiencing real travel, not just being holed up in a glamorous resort?
Well, stop right there. We've been travelling full-time for 4 years. And before you book that one-way plane ticket, we're going to share 5 travel situations that nearly broke us totally. And we're also going to share our 2 biggest worries before we started travelling that we found are actually nothing to worry about at all.
And at the end, we're going to tell you how these events have changed us. We'll give you the scoop at the end.
So the first of these travel situations is basically in the category of climate. Sarah, set the scene for them, will you?
The first thing that springs to mind is Athens. So we'd spent all of December and January in Athens, and it was t-shirt weather, beautiful temperature to turn around.
Right in the thick of winter, wasn't it? But t-shirts, lovely.
We were then heading over to Asia with a stopover in Turkey, which was going to last approximately 2 or 3 months. The day we decided to travel, we went out in the morning and it was beautiful weather.
It was.
By the time we'd ordered our taxi to go to the airport, the snow started coming down, and that was the first.
It's funnier than that. Because what we did earlier that morning was we realised we don't need our winter clothes anymore. We took all our winter clothes, boxed it up, took it to a post office, dropped it off, got in the taxi as these flakes started to fall.
That's actually a real key point.
Yeah, between then and getting to the airport, or getting close to the airport, it wasn't just flakes of snow,
No.
It was sheets of snow coming down.
Never seen anything like it, and certainly the taxi driver, he said, I think it was 40 years since they'd had such a snowstorm.
Yeah, his wife called him to say, turn back. But he said, no, I've got to get these two to the airport. He got us all the way to the airport when most taxis had stopped.
We were seeing cars just abandoned, and we got stuck numerous times. It was pretty scary as we got to the airport.
It was, and we got to the airport, and what a big surprise. We actually checked in for our flight. We were sat in that room where the bus is outside to take you to the plane. We were sat there for a while, then all of a sudden all hell broke loose and we realised our plane had been cancelled. There were long queues of people rebooking. First thing we thought about is, what are we going to do tonight? I guess a lot of the people that were there were locals, so had somewhere to go. We didn't have anything. We didn't have a car to get anywhere or any transport or anywhere to stay. So
but because
we focused on that.
We had come from local accommodation, we didn't get any support from the airline at all because we were effectively from Athens at that point. So we didn't get looked after or anything. We were on our own.
So we rebooked a flight that I think took off in a couple of days' time, and I managed to find an apartment that was about 3 or 4 miles away, I would say. And not only that, we needed a way of getting there. The taxi queue was unbelievable, but I saw
just no taxis coming in.
and all the rental firms renting cars were just cashing in on this. But I saw a rental firm that we used in Athens while we were there. I went up to them and said, look, everyone else is charging a fortune. We need a car. We're in trouble with this. What can you do? And she said, I've got 1 car left. I forget what it was, but it was really reasonably priced. And we got out of there.
Just getting to the hire car place was a joke. And then obviously driving in that snow.
So that's one example of what we've had to suffer with in our 4 years. But it's not just that. There's humidity when you're in Asia. Think about Malaysia and Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, that was just so uncomfortable. Certainly for me. I think you coped better than I did, but couldn't go outside without just poof.
I remember when we got to Bangkok, and we obviously, first thing you do is have a shower. And then I needed to pop out for something. You stayed in the room and I just needed to go out to get something. I was all freshened up. And I walked out the front door of where we were staying, and between getting out the front door and probably 10 yards, I was sopping wet. The humidity was incredible.
And just goes out the way, if you want to try and look nice.
Yeah, no. but these people were potentially thinking of doing long-term travel. So what can they take away from this?
Well, the climate is the climate, and it's constantly changing, of course, and especially with global warming.
Yeah, global warming means that things are just not as predictable. So maybe you could say we're going to stay in a temperate climate, but we come from the UK, which is known for being a bit chilly, a bit rainy, but kind of in that middle band. But believe me, the UK has its fair share of weather
bad
issues.
Winds or floods.
Exactly. So the thing is, this is just one of those things you're just going to have to put up with. I think on this list, this is the only one where we don't really have an answer for this one. But we're going to move on.
Right, next is health and healthcare. So over to you, Neil.
Yeah, this is my specialist subject, I think, isn't it? So set the scene for you. We were in Malaysia. We were in Kuala Lumpur. And I remember vividly, we were at a set of traffic lights and I just felt everything go a little bit off kilter. Things went a little bit black and I thought I was going to pass out. I felt really dizzy. So, as any right-minded man would do, I thought the last thing I'm going to do is mention this to Sarah, because if I do, this is just going to turn into a major incident. This
You
is just
probably should have been.
yeah, but yeah, true. But
But you were
at
trying to
that
monitor
point,
it
yeah, I was
before.
thinking we just come from breakfast, and I thought maybe sugar overload, something like that had happened. But what then happened is over the following days, these events happened more and more frequently, and it got to a point where I thought I've got no choice but to tell Sarah. So the situation is really, I'm thinking, I've never had any issue with dizziness before. Is this something serious? Have I got, I don't know, do you do this? I always go to worst case scenario.
No.
I'm thinking, have I got a brain tumour? Is that what this is? Oh my goodness, I'm the other side of the world and I've got a brain tumour. Kuala Lumpur, it turns out if you're going to have a serious issue anywhere in the world, Kuala Lumpur. So we contacted a local hospital, did all of this online. We went for ear, nose and throat, and you can see all of the specialists on their website and you can read their resume effectively of who you think will be best. You pick the one you want, then takes you to a diary. So I picked tomorrow morning. There you go, appointment made.
And there were so many clinics to actually choose from, so a bit of research on that and then the doctors.
So what actually transpired, and I'm always shocked by what happened, to be honest. Ear, nose and throat, they looked down my ear canals and could see there was no major issue.
Hearing test.
Yeah, and the hope was they find something, I thought, down there, because that could be an issue. They couldn't find anything, so they sent me to the cardiology department same day. So I walked downstairs, sat outside cardiology, and then went in to meet I call him my cardiologist now. And we had a long conversation, and basically in this one day I had a number of tests done. Was it on that day that I had the brain scan?
No, there was a follow-up visit, but you went for a follow-up visit and then was recommended to have a brain scan.
What I'll do is I'll link at the end of this video exactly what happened rather than going through it all
over
again.
a few weeks, but the takeaway was you can book online effectively, and once you're there, these places are incredible. They're like hotels and really, really clean, well organised.
The price.
You get taken between departments. And
I also had an issue in Athens with my shoulder. That meant that because of that issue, we had to stay in Athens another month, and that put all of our that's true, but that put all of our future travel plans out of kilter. So that was a real challenge.
Right, we had to change flights and hotels and.
But Sarah says the takeaway on this one is don't think that the healthcare in your country is the best in the world. It's not.
Because we all think that.
We all think the same thing. If we have a major issue now, we know that probably any country we're in is going to be able to treat us well. And if I have a serious issue again, I hope I'm in Kuala Lumpur, but I don't hope to have a serious issue.
I think we've actually said that if we do have a serious issue and we are able to fly, that is literally the first place we'll go.
Yeah. Right. Accommodation, Sarah, you take this one.
Okay, so the example I'm going to use here is our apartment in Penang in Malaysia. And it was an Airbnb, and we spend a lot of time doing research. We're very thorough with that.
Photographs, reviews.
The photos on the internet looked incredible. This beautiful pool deck outside of the building looked really nice. We knew it wasn't in the main touristy bit, which what we wanted because we were there for a month. And when we got there, the outside was quite run down, in fact, really run down.
It was.
The pool deck wasn't all that at all. The photos made it look incredible.
It all looked tired. And then we met the person who was looking after us. He seemed like a very nice fellow. Very nice fellow.
Yes, he was very friendly.
The apartment was, let's say, average. That's not what we thought we were getting. We didn't think we had signed up for average to be a month in a place that every time we walk in we go, your heart drops. But we had a major issue with the sofa. And again, we've made videos on this in the past. By all means, go These will be on To Go Rome, which is our other channel, by the way. So make sure you're subscribed over there if you're not already there. But you'll find all these videos over there. But the issue that we had really was the sofa, when I had a look underneath, had actually broken. There's splinters everywhere underneath where it had and you were just sitting effectively on the floor. It was then comical because after speaking to the host a number of times, she finally agreed to let someone come out and have a look at it. And it was the same guy. He looked at it and then said, problem is you Westerners are so fat, you sit on it and things snap. I think we both thought that was quite hilarious because, you know, I like to take feedback on board.
You left me to it, if you remember.
But he said, don't worry, I got this sorted. I helped him measure up. Didn't know what I'm measuring up for. He went away and he came back with a plank of wood because he was going to stick a plank of wood underneath.
Before.
And that's when I said, right, hold up. Contacted the host again and said, this is what the guy's planning to do. This isn't going to work for us. And she did resolve the situation, but the problem was really that we're in not very good accommodation and we feel like we're being, I don't like to use the word, but scammed. Yeah, they're giving us...
But also the rice cooker in that particular place as well. And if you're in somewhere like that, rice is quite, important to your cuisine.
Yeah. What was
it? But it just didn't work. It was leaking everywhere when I tried to use it. The seal had gone on top, so I said, can we have a new rice maker? And they said, well, yes, you can have one, but we'll wait for you to leave. And we were like 2 days into our stay, so it's
just not great. Yeah. That's one example. Also, we went to Bali. We didn't actually produce any videos on Bali purely because we felt when we were there that Bali is suffering with over-tourism. We saw some disgusting things, really. So we'd shot all this stuff to release and just thought, we're not doing Bali any favours by releasing this. But we booked an accommodation there that in the photos looked amazing. It was a villa with its own pool. The pool,
a traditional Balinese,
and the pool just had scum on it. Now the pool next door, where the Airbnb host also owned that, had a wonderful pool. They're in it all the time. Ours, the pump didn't work and he didn't get it fixed. And then in the accommodation, we had a number of issues with critters. I'm not going to go into detail, but there were so many issues that we just left there. Yeah. And the issue here, this is a big issue. And again, if you look over on To Go Rome, you will see videos we made about Airbnb. The issue that I have is that Airbnb has a review system, but the review system is flawed. And the reason why it's flawed is if you travel full-time as we do, having a good standing on Airbnb is critical because when you try and book an accommodation, certainly a good accommodation, often the host will look at your reviews, the reviews you've given to other accommodations. And if they can see on there that you're honest and you say, yeah, we went to this place, the photos look great, we got there and it was tired and the sofa fell apart and all these kind of things, you're just being honest, they are likely, and this has happened to us, to cancel your booking for fear that you might be too honest about their place. That means that when you read reviews on Airbnb, everyone is being very, very careful about what they say because they don't want to get cancelled on Airbnb. You don't get this on TripAdvisor or something like that because people stay in a hotel and they'll be honest. They'll say this was wrong, that was wrong. But that means that for us, we now maintain a much more flexible approach to accommodation. Airbnb used to be the primary place we went to. It's now in the mix, but not the primary. To be honest, we look at other ways.
Yeah, including Facebook. There's some really good groups that it's a good place to start because you might get some private rentals and then it's done on word of mouth as well.
So if you're going to an area or a city or a town, just find a Facebook group for that town and start engaging in there, and that's where you may find these things. So next then, we got finance and money management on the road. How's that?
That was certainly a challenging time when we arrived in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, and we discovered that our bank accounts were frozen. Well, you'll never forget that moment.
Yeah, so this was a big cock up, and actually this is something where you can take something away from here, even if you're just doing short-term travel. This is really important. So we got to Chiang Mai and my main bank card was frozen. Yeah. I contacted them and through the conversation, I think I'd done something. I think I put a transaction through that made them think it was fraudulent. It might simply be that the transaction came from Thailand. They thought it was potentially fraudulent. And as I spoke more, I think she started to think more and more that this was fraudulent. The funny thing about this is the bank that I was speaking to is the bank that I worked for many, many years, and I'd just retired from a few weeks earlier. So I said to her, look, I'm an ex-member of staff. And she said, yeah, well, you can say that. But I said, no, I am. And I know all the training that you're talking about. I know everything you're saying and why you're saying it, because I've had the same training. If you're thinking that maybe I'm being socially engineered to do this thing, I know. I've gone through but the training gets updated I know. I was there a couple of months ago. But she was about to shut us down. Why this was a big issue is the cock up on my part is I had a situation where my bank account was the start of everything for us. So all of our credit cards went to that bank account. We had other bank accounts which were all fed from that bank account. So basically, if that went down, it was like a house of cards that would fall down behind it. So what we've done since then is we've created more like a spider system.
Yeah.
So we have multiple banks and we also have multiple platforms. So we don't just rely, for example, on MasterCard, because if MasterCard has a significant outage while you're somewhere weird in the world, that could be a problem. So we have MasterCard, we have American Express, we have Visa. We go for multiple platforms, multiple banks, multiple credit cards, and giving us all of that flexibility. So if this doesn't work, we've got this. If this doesn't work, we got this.
The other thing is if your cards get cloned and you then need new credit cards sent to you, you're obviously not at your home address.
Yeah.
So that can be a real problem. Make sure that you've got that backup in your own country, whether that's somebody that can FedEx you the cards.
Exactly.
Or we've had cards sent to us in Thailand.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about as well.
It's tricky. Right. The next one is not easy. So let's get real. The last one is real life. So when you travel is fun. It's amazing. There are crazy things happen, good things, bad things, but all those things that happen, good or bad, are all part of the adventure. Yeah. But since we started traveling, sadly, my mum passed away. And a year later, my dad passed away.
About 10 months, yeah.
Yeah. And there's no way of dressing this one up. Something that I'll never, ever get over is the fact that when both of them died, I was thousands of miles away. When my mum died, we knew, it was that situation where the hospital said, get up to the hospital and see her. And we were racing back, and she died while I was in the air. And I'll never forget getting the phone call from my brother. What's the takeaway here? Real life is real life. Shit happens.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about it. You could say, well, why travel when you've got elderly parents? So the approach on that for us was, we've got elderly parents and we schedule time in to spend time with them. Sarah's mum is still with us and Sarah speaks to her every day. I kid you not, every single day. That's my head in. And
we talk about the same things most of the time, but we have a chat.
Exactly. But you see your mum regularly. You're going to be seeing your mum in a few weeks' time.
That's right.
You'll be seeing her at Christmas. Yeah. So we schedule that time in. And I think really, in a way, when you travel, when you do spend time with your parents, it's more quality time. And I think we actually found that we spend more time with your mum now that we travel than we did beforehand, because it's more
stay with her. And,
it's concentrated time. So,
it's a huge decision. I mean, that was one of the things that maybe would have stopped us. That and pets, and you have to make that leap. But we always knew that was potentially going to be a problem.
And on this, I guess there is a takeaway, and that is that people are good. When my father passed away, what we did actually is we went to Thailand, and we'd arranged a visa in Thailand to keep us in the country for a year. There's a long story. Again, go over onto To Go Rome. It's all over there. And we rented an apartment for a year. Lovely apartment in a brand new block. Fantastic. And we had a landlord who seemed like a really nice guy when we met him. Seemed a really, really friendly person. Nice. And then when this news came through about my father passing away, we knew all we could do is just head straight back to the UK. So I contacted the rental agency. I remember they weren't over the moon about it, actually, which wasn't great. But we arranged to basically give the apartment back. And they said, right, the landlord will come to the apartment and do all the arrangements. He came to the apartment and wow, he couldn't be more sorry for what we were going through. And the one thing that he was most concerned about doing is returning our deposit. And we did it there and then. He had his phone and bank system. I had mine on my phone. And he went through and returned it. I didn't ask for the money back. I didn't want the money back. We've left him in a problem. We've been there, 6 months? I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, 5 months.
Yeah, so, we're leaving him with an apartment, not rented. People are good. Yeah, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and the other takeaway from this as well is we've learned to also allow us time to detox, if you like, as far as just downtime.
Yeah.
And, travelling can take it out of you. So the beauty of slow travel is that you have a month somewhere, make sure you get that downtime as well for your mental health.
Exactly. It's important to do.
So these challenges highlight the less glamorous side of full-time travel. And whilst the adventure is fantastically rewarding, there are difficulties that need to be managed.
That's right. And actually, we said at the start of this video that there were 2 worries that we had that we found we didn't need to worry about, and they were culture and safety. Culture being, we're going to places in parts of the world we've never seen and can't imagine. But actually, what culture has turned into being is, how do you order food? How do you eat this different food? How do you say hello?
Yeah, not stand out like a real tourist when you're completely eating something wrong.
So that's no big deal. And the other one, safety, we have felt as safe, if not safer, than being back in our home country everywhere that we've travelled in the world, even in the places that people will advise you are fairly dangerous. So what we take from that is something that hopefully you can take, that these things are kind of inbred into us from coming from certain countries, and that other people are unusual or unsafe. Don't think that way. Just go and live your dream of travel if that's what it is. So Sarah, at the start you said, are we going to continue? Are all these problems so great that it's going to stop us travelling? Are we going to be continuing? We said when we started our travel adventure on YouTube that we're going to do this for 10 years. Where are we going?
Well, we're not stopping anytime soon. So beyond 10 years, and as long as we're fit and healthy, fingers crossed, we'll carry on.
That's right. So as Sarah says, it's going to be way beyond 10 years. We're going to be travelling and travelling. So if that's what you enjoy, make sure you subscribe to Go Rome Travels, because this is where it will all be. And one of the things that we love when we travel is being able to do the things that we used to do in our old world. And one of those, we used to love going to gigs. We actually happened upon a whole music festival that we didn't even know was happening. And we want you to go and watch that next. That'll be up here, I would imagine. You've been watching To Go Rome. Tell them what they need to know, Sarah.
Our dream is world travel.
What's yours?